Man-Made Radio are putting South African artists under the spotlight. In proud partnership with Bounce Promotions, we are getting vocal about local. Tune in and support SA Music.
This is Man-Made Radio. Man-Made Radio.
Local artists are back in the spotlight as MMR and Bounce Promotions get vocal about local. We are throwing the light on Bay local artist Anton Calitz, a one-man band, as he sings, plays guitar, harmonica, and occasionally pan flutes, wowing the crowds at venues around DQ with his extraordinary talent. Welcome, Anton. Thank you for joining me on the line today.
Hi, Roscoe. Nice to be here.
So you play 3 instruments and sing all at once. How difficult does that seem to be, man? Because most people find it hard to multitask. I mean, even myself sometimes, I struggle to sing and play more intricate riffs simultaneously, you know?
I'm mostly a singer. Playing guitar is what I do to carry the music mostly, but I wouldn't call myself I don't think of myself as a guitar player. I just think of myself as a musician and singer. Playing pamphlet and is similar to the way I do it is similar to the way you play harmonica, which is guitar and in the hands and the harmonica in the face and the voice in the throat, like that.
Yeah, man, sounds familiar. I mean, I usually just play guitar and sing at the same time. I've tried once or twice to put a bit of a drum kit between me and then clap the kick drum and strum a riff and try to sing, but even then I was struggling a little, you know. It's that musical multitasking. It's quite a talent on its own, so I'm always impressed when I see other artists using that kind of approach, you know, where they become the entire band themselves in a live setting.
Yeah, the cartoon image of the one-man band.
Yeah. that you know, that animated guy walking up and down with a giant kick drum around his shoulder and the that guy.
Lots of TikToks of guys actually putting that together and doing it, and then of course there's all the loop pedals and stuff where they.
Yeah, that's quite popular.
Yeah,
I've seen that. So you've been performing in the Bay since 1989. How's the music scene changed from then to now? Like, is there anything specific that stands out the most from the different eras?
The technology, the people's, and then of course what's trendy.
Yeah.
In the 80s, you could play guitar and sing. It was really something special. It was quite rare. And you could sing songs. It's kind of different now. Like every second guy that's got a hairstyle can play. It's nothing that special anymore. Nobody gives it as much attention.
Yeah.
But when you could play guitar in the 80s and the 90s, people that had no time for you would actually give you, quite serious attention and a chance to play. That's changed. And then the technology is different too. I mean, it always was a big deal to do something on a recording. You had to go and dream about recording contracts and things that are still relatively unreachable. Now anyone can record, and the technology is there, and you can do something that's possible.
Yeah.
Even with very, very limited skill set, you can do something that sounds like music, and that's very different.
Yeah, I feel like it's both a good thing and a bad thing. It's kind of like it poses a problem and an issue nowadays. I've spoken to a lot of other musicians about this, and I think I actually brought it up in an interview, one of my last shows, how because of the accessibility, like it's inclusive, which is great, and anyone can access it now, but that's also a bad thing, because then any schmuck with like a MIDI keyboard and like an idea can put this like really crappy song together and put it out into the world, and the market then becomes like oversaturated with these like productions, and then the good stuff, the gems get lost, in this pool of like thousands and thousands of stuff that gets uploaded every single day. So in one hand, it's a really great thing to have this kind of accessible, modern technological approach to creating music and writing and recording and releasing. But on the other hand, it's like, damn, all my stuff's getting, lost in the midst of all this other stuff,
Yeah, no, it is. There is a conundrum, but at the same time, when you're living in like off-world, like PE or Gqeberha or whatever. And I live even further off world because I live in Ypney. But I mean, you are still connected to the world through that technological medium, which is really cool. So that kind of levels things a bit. But at the same time, you're right. Yeah, you're totally right. It's become like this mega marsh land of music that you just don't know what.
Yeah, it's like oversaturation. But I mean, as you said, now it's also a great networking tool. I mean, as the times change technologically and stuff, we have more I mean, this interview wouldn't be happening. We wouldn't be broadcasting live online and on, hopefully in the very soon future on the FM. I mean, the technology's improved to the extent that we can like book shows, for book a whole tour on like Facebook Messenger and then like emails, and we can like find clubs at a simple Google search, and we can broadcast our tunes online, radios and stuff like that. So those are like the plus sides, I think. So yeah, the changes are very, very noticeable. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So your passion seems to be writing and performing. I suppose what some may refer to as a one-man music cabarets. In the past 20 years, you've staged, I think, 9 shows at the National Arts Festival, and your first show was called Dead Slugs and Strawberries. It's quite an interesting name, man.
It was a paraphrase of a Rudyard Kipling poem, and it fit with late 80s things of everything being hot and cold and black and white, and it's a very different time, and for me, playing on stage and performing wasn't about putting on a mask and being a really good actor, which I'm not. It was actually just a space where I found I could be myself.
Yeah.
And that was a vital part of living is finding yourself. So. Everything else I did was a development of just finding a space where I could finally be myself, and so theatre and music was a combination. I've never kind of been able to find my feet within the so-called music industry or anything, but within the theatre and the arts community, which was much more structured and much more human.
Yeah.
I found I could do stuff. Whereas you quickly get disillusioned, and with trying to make it as a muso or a musician, you have to be really, 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 really competent, and even then you don't always make it as a musician.
Yeah, you're like a selling point. You yourself have to become the selling point, the product, to say, for lack of better words. So the show was called Dead Slugs and Strawberries. What is it about? The name really intrigues me, man.
Well, that was a paraphrase of Kipling's poem, the England is a Garden, and it's whole sort of colonial poems, and all that track that was basically the culture and that I was raised in, and those values were kind of was what I was raised in. So that was kind of a springboard into other things. My songs were protest songs and kind of songs modeled on songwriters and satirists that I grew up with, like Jeremy Taylor and Bob Dylan, and listening to Simon & Garfunkel. So it wasn't just about the melody; it was also about a lyric that had you were aiming at somebody or something, usually the government, and there was a lot to say, and my platform was not hard to find as a young person, finding myself at that stage.
Yeah.
That's a long time ago now for me. So I've kind of gone through several changes and worn several hats since then, but that was what that was all about.
Yeah.
Death Metal Floor is what that was all about. The shows I did consequent to that were different themes and different approaches, full-length mirror and things like that. Was you and I have this thing with mannequins in common, doing shows with mannequins and getting injured by mannequins. I had a show where I was based on.
How do you know about that?
my show was based on Bret Easton Ellis's novel that became the movie Psycho. Not Psycho. The one that the 80s movie that became an 80s movie, and it was about your psychotic killer, that lives in plain sight as wearing a suit. And so I was sawing off a mannequin's head, and I had cow bones, and I was beating
That's epic.
things with knives and stuff, and that was like the act.
Yeah.
And it was something I developed actually from theatre to theatre as I travelled it, and I travelled with a mannequin and a headstand in the city golf, and the thing was constantly smashing me in the head as well. So
that's epic, man. Listen, on that note, I think let's take a listen to one of your original tracks. This one's called "Just Like an Old Bob Dylan Song." Here's "Just Like an Old Bob Dylan Song" on MMR.
Yes. Thank you. That's.
Spinning madly across the crowd. She kisses me, next minute she's cursing me out loud. Sitting in between the wiles and smiles of joy and crazy sorrow. Who else but such as I ever pay her any mind? A fool hanging on to the hope of his long-lost find, not knowing if he's blessed or cursed, only that he needs her like no other. And every night I pray for she who holds my heart, though I dare not say day after day. I wonder if somehow there might still be some way I could hold her in my arms, have her lead me on and on and on and on, just like an old Bob Dylan song. Cast out another line, better luck next time. Whistle the words I once wrote for her to the tune of Old Lang Syne. Ah, give it up, give it up, give it up. I tell myself you're better off without her. God knows I am no angel, oh no, but for her I would pretend to be every apostle in the Bible, if she would let me be me. And every night I pray for she who holds my heart, though I dare not say there might still be some way I could hold her in my arms, have her lead me on and on and on and on, just like an old Bob Dylan song. ever lead me on and on and on and on and on, just like an old Bob Dylan song.
Anton, you still with us there?
Yeah, I'm still with you.
That is an awesome track, my man. I really enjoy that. I'm sure the listeners also enjoy that. That is epic.
Well, it was a beautiful guitar playing, which actually Alan Godwin was actually playing guitar on with it.
All right, featuring, yeah.
Bass player Chris Sexton is now running General Motors somewhere.
Yeah.
But that was actually a really together music production that did also 15 years ago.
Yeah. That track specifically, that track is very, very much like Bob Dylan. So I'm gonna assume that he's like a very large musical influence of yours.
Yeah, I got interested in that at school, and it was. More than anybody else. I keep going back to Bob Dylan, but but I'm not. He's a genius, and he's so immersed in American culture, and it's a very different musical culture and a lyrical culture to ours, completely. But it's one you kind of have to go and be aware of. If you're writing anything in English, I think you have to go and listen to Dylan.
Yeah, definitely, man. Yeah. I love his. I always liked his simplicity when it came to like the instrumentation and the poetic side that kind of came through with the lyrics, man. But you've played quite a handful of shows now. Of all your 9 shows that you've played that we were speaking about earlier, which one was your favorite and why?
Well, the first one because I kind of didn't really know mostly what I was doing, and I was kind of very much in my own world and kind of happy there. The ones that did later were much harder because you became much cleverer and you thought you were. And
much cleverer.
Much cleverer. And you thought you were. But the problem with getting cleverer is that you think you're even cleverer than you actually
think you're cleverer than you are
make
cleverer.
A lot of mistakes. But I think the one that I learned the most was doing the two-hander with Andrew Buckland that I did. Was called Unplugged, where we did his songs. He had songs that he had written but with no music, but they were all lyrical, and I found a way to quickly set them to something, and we did it as a two-hander, and it worked really well. And he is unbelievably a performer and very disciplined, and I had more than anything else learned more than anybody else probably learned stuff. And also that when you work with actors, they carry equipment. When you play with musicians, they don't carry equipment.
Yeah, that's kind of a plus. It's a pretty good bonus point right there. So I'm always interested in hearing, I'm always interested in hearing other artists' response to this next question, because I like to compare it to my own creative processes. So please do tell me, where is your favorite place in the world to create and write melodies and music? And can you describe your creative process when you write new music?
Halfway through a glass of wine.
Nice.
Favorite place on part of the process. I don't think there's anything special about it anymore. I used to, and nothing sacred either. But it's a product like anything else. If you go and make a piece of furniture, or if you go and cook a meal, writing a song should kind of follow the same. It's within a certain amount of time parameters.
Yeah.
And and actually you're freer because you can carry a song around for decades and take ages to write, and they don't necessarily end up the best songs. And then there's other songs that you write in 5 minutes, and they work really well.
They end up being bangers, yeah. I know that vibe. Tony Cox, who's an instrumentalist and used to write very, very beautiful instrumentals and amazing songs. I loved his songs, although he didn't write them. I loved them, his older stuff. And he used to also say, he's fond of saying, it's 90% perspiration and 10% inspiration. You've just got to get there and do it. Yeah, it's just the
So
work.
I don't think there's... and I'm not there at the moment because I'm not there at the moment. I haven't been. I'm not intending writing anything in the near future, but I will in the distant future write again. Possibly because I don't feel like outlaying the time and the money to go and record stuff, and then I'm really at the moment really only interested in playing.
Nothing wrong with that. I mean, take your time, man. Take your time. We're looking forward to the songs regardless. I mean, on that note, pun always intended, let's take a listen to another one of your tracks. I think this one's called Almost a Lullaby. So there's almost a lullaby.
Not even a lullaby.
Not
it's
even,
a paraphrase
almost.
It's a paraphrase of an African poem where he writes about an African village. Leopold Senghor went on to be the president of his country. He was a poet, Senegalese, and he wrote a poem in which he traces the image of an African village, and he describes a breeze in the trees being not even a lullaby. So that I set about writing a piece of music that would be
inspired by that.
Be the feeling of that line in that poem.
That's awesome, and let's take a listen from it. Keep an ear out for those lyrics. Here's Almost a Lullaby by Anton here on MMR.
Cheers.
what another awesome tune. I really enjoyed that. That was Not Even a Lullaby by Anton Calitz. Anton, you still there on the line?
Yes, I'm still here, yes.
Okay, Dav is still here, buddy. I've got one last question for you, man.
Yes.
What was the weirdest, craziest thing to ever happen at one of your gigs or your shows, whether it be on your part or the crowd's part, or just some crazy stuff that you saw, something that just sticks with you to this day? What's the weirdest or craziest thing to happen at one of your gigs?
There's some very surreal moments, as you know, when you do gigs.
Yeah.
And, where it's and a lot of them are not so much fun. but there's one that stuck out. I was doing my suck at that show, where I had cowbones and saws and guitars and fake blood and stuff. And
Sounds like a party.
I was doing a show with a real cow femur. And I had a pickup attached to the cow femur, and I was sawing it and then singing songs just a cappella to that, to the sound of that stuff. And I was doing this actually in the Rhodes University, but that stage was the cave or some sort of common place where they used to, just relax and get mostly roll around on the floor drunk and stoned and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I was this room I was in doing this in it was a very interesting stage. It was this kind of theatre in a round where everybody was sitting around, and I put the cowbone down, and then went on with something more, because it was a combination of really grotesque stuff and then really pretty stuff in terms of the music. And I put the cowbone down and went to launch into some pretty thing, and and there was a lot of dogs and animals around, and these two dogs have been watching a cow femur in front of all these students, and they were salivating and looking forward to maybe getting hold of that bone, and eventually they realized I put it down, and as I put it down, they proceeded to have a huge fight with each other, these two dogs, slobbering and snaggering, trying to kill each other over my cow femur. And all the students, who were mostly on their heads, really thought it was actually part of the scripted show, and it couldn't have been more wonderful.
That's crazy.
Couldn't have been a better coincidence.
Yeah, it's just part of the show, man. Like, what a show, what a performance. Like, it's kind of like one of those, I meant to do that. I meant to do that kind of moments, It's all part of the show, folks. Anton, man, it was amazing chatting to you today, dude. Where can people follow you and download all your music?
Well, downloading is I've got a song on the Center Stage website at the moment, which I did called Claustrophobia, which is about trying to breathe in COVID. But I'm not as organized as you. I haven't got Spotify up and running yet, and I'm hoping to record something new and fresh and Spotify friendly.
Yeah.
I play at Charlie's in Summerstrand, and I'm doing a show there on Monday from 6 to 8, and then not a show, but it's just a background live gig. And then I've doing actually a show in Rubik East under a thorn tree on the 13th of November with to a small audience around a fire. And I have been silent for a while. I was dealing with a trauma in my family, so I'm sort of coming back into music again and playing again. And once the playing starts, the writing will start, and then we'll get more and more.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to get more organised. But please visit me at Charlie's in Summerstrand on Monday, and Music Kitchen when we get there.
All right. So people can check you out at Charlie's Monday, and otherwise, hopefully you'll have new music in the near or further future, long down the line, that we can check out online. And it's Anton Calitz, and people can find you on social media. How?
I'm on Facebook with under my own name, and I normally post my gigs up on my Facebook page.
Thank you so much, man.
Roscoe, thank you for having me on your show. It's been a real treat talking to another guy that I know plays, and I wish you the very best of success with your projects as well.
Thank you so much, man. All the same back to you, of course. Hopefully I'll see you around in person sometime. Maybe check you at the gig. Otherwise, you got my digits, bro. Hit me up, man.
Yeah.
Okay, man. Thanks, Anton.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Cool, man.
Have a lovely day.
Thanks, bud.
Okay.
Remember to check out www.bouncepromotions.com to see the gig guide, to find out where Anton and his fellow musicians are playing, so you can get on down and support them this weekend. Bounce Promotions is always getting vocal about local.
Man-Made Radio are putting South African artists under the spotlight. In proud partnership with Bounce Promotions, we are getting vocal about local. Tune in and support SA Music.
This is Man-Made Radio. Man-Made